YouTube? Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. So I just wanted to make a really short and quick video. I know I always say that and then they end up being like 35 minutes, right? But I wanted to talk about the first time I topped a guy. So before I get into the story time, I just want to thank everyone who has recently subscribed. I want to thank all of my returning subscribers. I want to thank everyone that comments in the comment section. Like, I try to get to all of your comments, but just remember, I see you guys. So let's get into the story. So when I began my transition, like many other trans women, I was fed a narrative. And the narrative was that, you know, if you're trans, you're trapped in the wrong body. You end up having surgery. You have to have SRS surgery. And, you know, when you have sex with a guy, you have to bottom. Like, I was fed all of these things. Like, I was fed all of these narratives that, one, I have to be heterosexual. I have to only be attracted to guys because that's what makes sense. And I need to be the one bottoming because that's what makes sense. And I need to have SRS surgery because that's what makes sense. And I feel like a lot of these stories have been created to almost put cisgender people's minds at ease. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I definitely, you know, like, I definitely bought into that whole notion that I needed to be a bottom when I was intimate with my partners. So when I began my transition, I automatically assumed that that's how I was going to be having sex. You know what I mean? Because there was no way I would be using Penelope. I wouldn't be using my member, because I felt that if I used my member in sex, it would only make me more dysphoric. You know what I mean? It would make me more dysphoric. It would take away from the femininity that I'm busy trying. Girl, I am sweating. It would take away from the femininity that I'm trying to cultivate. You know what I mean? Or the femininity that I'm trying to step into. So there was no effing way I was going to be topping guys. You know what I mean? So I lose my virginity. I meet this boy. We're going to name him Simon. I lose my virginity to Simon, and I'll never forget how painful the sex was. Now, you also need to understand that when you are being penetrated for the first time anally, of course it's going to hurt. Like, it's, girl, you know, these boys got to break you in, and breaking in is not fun. So it was, like, obviously a lot of pain. And, you know, I just assumed that, you know, the more I do it, the easier it's going to be. Yes and no. It did become easier over time. I was able to handle it better. And it got to a point where it wasn't like gut-wrenching pain, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like, I never enjoyed it. I literally never enjoyed it. So I was in a situation where I would have sex with whoever I was seeing at the time, and it felt like a chore. I didn't enjoy the process of it. I didn't enjoy even the, just like prepping. You know what I mean? I was one of those people who, like, I wouldn't eat that whole day just to, like, prep my booty hole. And, like, I would go through all of this preparation, doll myself up, and then the guy comes, and he hasn't even washed his member. You know what I mean? And then, oh, like, I hated that whole process. I hated that whole process. It felt like something was being taken away from me. It honestly did. And it kind of, like, sucked that at the end of it, he would be lying next to me, done and satisfied, and I'd be lying next to him, bruised injured, like not having enjoyed any of it. It just didn't make sense to me. So I end up losing interest in guys, especially early on in my transition. I was just kind of like, I'm not enjoying the intercourse, and I need to figure out how I'm going to pay for my surgery. It's actually crazy that because I was bottoming at the beginning stage of my transition, and because I bought into the narrative that because I'm trans, I have to bottom, it almost led me into the belief, not almost, it did. It made me believe that, oh, because I can't have sex anally, that means I need to have my SRS so that I can have sex vaginally. And I want you to stop and think about that for a moment. I was willing to have sexual reassignment surgery, not because I had dysphoria, not because I had dysphoria around my genitalia, but because society had convinced me that because I'm a trans woman, I must have SRS. And number two, because I wasn't enjoying, bottoming, that means I must have SRS. And like, I think back and I'm like, that is so crazy. That is so, so crazy that my mind was in that place. You know what I mean? And thank God that my transition took as long as it did, because in that time, it gave me an opportunity to pause and reflect and to ask myself, like, do I actually want to have SRS surgery? And am I even interested in bottoming? You know what I mean? There are other options. I don't have to feed into this narrative that's been sold to me. So I end up having, so I lose interest in guys for the time being, and I have my bilateral orchiectomy. So they cut my testicles off because the testicles have most of your testosterone, so they cut it off, and I just assumed that, my member wouldn't work, especially after hormones. A lot of trans women, when they have hormone replacement therapy, and definitely when they have a bilateral orchiectomy, they will have erectile dysfunction, meaning your member doesn't get hard, it's not functional, it's Penelope just is out of the building. And, I assumed that that was what was going to happen to me. And I was fine with it. I was fine with it. I think it's very important to understand that, like, I think for me, I had gotten to a point where I was like, I so desperately wanted to be myself and, like, transition, that it didn't matter what I was giving up. It didn't matter what I was losing as long as I could be myself. So I end up having surgery, and then lo and behold, my member is still working. But then again, I had never actually topped anyone, so I wasn't sure how well it was working. You know what I mean? Now, let's fast forward. I meet up with an old friend. His name is Francois. So Francois is, I'm not going to call him a platonic friend because I have sex with him, so that's not platonic. But he's definitely somebody who started off as a platonic friendship. We went on a date and realized early on that, we weren't a good match. And then we just stayed friends. And then it happened that I was single at the same time as him. And I'll be honest, he may be a friend, but I still want to jump his bones. You know what I mean? So we decide, hey, let's hook up. Let's do what grown folks do. I don't know when you're gonna be single again. You don't know when I'm gonna be single again. Let's get it on. Now, I'll be honest, like, I agreed to have sex with him, but like I wasn't sure how it was gonna work. Now, I was still in the mindset that, because I'm trans, I have to be the one who bottoms. No guy's ever going to bottom for me. Like, I was still playing those old tapes in my head. So we go into the bedroom, And I remember I'm sitting on his lap. Like, I sit on his lap, and I was going to, like, slide inside of him. Like, he was going to slide inside of me. And as the head was going in, I was just kind of like, no way. No way. I was like, I just remember I immediately went soft. I was like, I don't like doing that. You know what I mean? And it was at that moment where I was honest with myself, where, like, I was like, you know what? I don't actually like bottoming. And he looks at me and he's like, okay, cool. You can just top me. And my eyes just went like, my eyes just went like big, because no one had actually said those words to me. No one had actually given me permission to explore my sexuality in a way that is comfortable to me. And those words were so revolutionary. I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Fuck it. Like, I may have erectile dysfunction, but I'm going to try. So, second problem comes in. I've never actually topped a guy before, so I don't know if I'm going to be good. And the thing is, I'm in my 30s. Okay, I was like in my late 20s back then. But I was, you know, like, I was old enough that people would assume that I know what I'm doing when I have, like, sex with people. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to, like, tell, you know, like, Francois that I wasn't going to, that I didn't know how to top, or I had never topped before. Like, I was going to tell him that, like, no. But I decided to try something. Now, a friend of mine has a sex shop, and we had been talking the one time, and I mentioned, you know, like, I was trans and I was on hormones, and she was like, does that affect Penelope? And I was like, yeah, I think so. Like, I'm not sure, because I've never actually been active using my member. So then she gave me something. Well, she sold me something. Shady as hell. She sold me something, which actually really worked. So it's called Moja Mocha. I'll just hold it up. I hate how they say aphrodisiac mocha coffee for him, because I'm just kind of like, brah, trans girls want to use this stuff too, are you crazy? So I'm not sure if you can see it. I don't know if they sell it in other countries, but you can definitely find it in South Africa. You can find it in, like, literally any adult world. Any adult world, you can find this stuff. And what I like about it is that it's, you know, like, the ingredients, it's hot chocolate. It literally is hot chocolate, milk powder, and I don't know how to pronounce these other three things. But it actually tastes really good. It literally tastes like hot chocolate. So, you know, he goes into the restroom to go prep himself. And I go into the kitchen. I just boil some water. I I don't think you're supposed to take the whole, like, sachet. Like, I think you're only, like, supposed to take half. But I was a thirsty, horny bitch, so I just, like, unpacked the whole thing, and I just had it. And I honestly, like, I thought nothing happened. I was just kind of like, okay, I have this coffee, like, what now? So, Francois, bless me. So, Francois comes out of the restroom, right? And I'm just kind of like, yeah, this is about to happen. So we go into, like, my bedroom, and when I tell you, my body just, I literally was on fire. It was almost as though, like, I felt like he was prey. Like, I can't explain that. Like, I don't obviously want to be explicit, and I don't want to be vulgar, but, yeah, like, I definitely turned into a power top. And it's so crazy because my personality is so different from that. Like, I'm very, like, soft, and I'm very, like, goofy, and I don't take myself too seriously and stuff like that, but I'm very, like, soft and demure and, you know, like, straight-laced and all of that. But when I tell you, after I had that frickin' thing, like, I think we literally went on for hours and hours and hours, to the point where one of my housemates went to the gym, came back from the gym, and she could still hear us fucking, and she was like, what, are they still in there? And gag at this, the disrespect, and I said this in a previous video, but I'll say this again. Everybody thought he was fucking me. Like literally that entire house. And I had to be like, no, brah, like, respect me. You know what I mean? But, you know, I think what I liked, and I'm not being sponsored. Let me just grab this again. I'm not being sponsored by this. I really am not being, I don't get sponsored. But I was so happy when I found this, because I think, let's be honest, you know, like, as trans women, we are always going to have to be medicated, whether it's from hormones or whether it's from, like, something else. So for me, I know, like, for some other trans women, like, I've told my friends, like, what I use to have sex, and a lot of them are kind of like, oh my gosh, like, first of all, the name is off-putting. Like, my one friend just looked at this and she was like, I'm not going to a sex shop and buying something that looks like this. It'll make me dysphoric. And I get that. I definitely get that. I personally don't give two shits about what other people think. I need to be honest with myself, and I need to, if I'm going to have sex, I need to do it in a way that makes me happy, is comfortable, and gets me excited, and gets me interested. I'm not about to, look, I've gotten to a point where I've gotten better bottoming, but I've said this in previous videos, that I am not going to bottom for someone that's not my boyfriend. And realistically speaking, most of the guys that are hitting me up aren't even interested in a relationship. So you know that I'm not about to bottom for these guys. It's not happening. I'm only about to bottom for my husband. So anyways, I just wanted to say, like, for everyone out there that is trans trying to explore and experiment, just go into it without any preconceived notions. You know what I mean? Go into it with an open mind. Because once you step into dating and sex with this very closed mind of who I should be and how I should be and how we're supposed to be having sex, you end up missing out. You literally end up missing out. You know what I mean? I'm somebody who will try something at least once, you know what I mean? Like, I'm very open to a lot of things. And the reason I'm so open is because you never know what you're going to like, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to be held back by society's backwards notions of sex or of gender identity or of any of those things. I only have one life, and I need to make sure that, you know, I live it until the wheels fall off and I have as much fun as I possibly can. And yeah, and sex is a part of that, you know, so I'm definitely still gonna be using this. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I hope you enjoyed my story time. And if you are a trans woman who tops, please tell me about your story. Like, what was it like topping for the first time? Were you awkward the first time? Because I was initially, but I think after I saw Francois naked and after I had some of this, I was like, away with awkwardness. I'm about to pound this boy. Okay, I'm going to end it there. I love you guys so much. I'm sorry that I have not been as as consistent. I'm just going through a really, 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 really incredibly difficult time, and I know that if I make a video, I want to be at 100% capacity, and I would rather wait until I'm in a better mood and shoot a video, as opposed to making a video and then crying halfway through the video. No, I'm not going to do that. But anyways, thank you so much for all of your sweet messages on Instagram and on YouTube. I see you guys. I see all of you guys, and I love you guys so much. I can't wait to talk to you again and let you know what I'm planning on doing. Alright, bye you guys.